Looks like another money video is coming up today. Why? Because we're going to talk about 3 things that's going to cost you more this year, all because of bad policies, being really stupid with money, not only personally, but nationally. What kind of policies and what kind of precedents are we setting on ourselves, and what's actually going to cost us more all this year? It's really a kind of a sad video, to be honest with you, but it's good and it helps us gain knowledge and wisdom to figure out what we need to do better. So we're going to talk about 3 problems that cause crises with our money and what's going to cost us more, but then also we're going to jump into some solutions of how you can save money with these 3 things. Let's jump into the video today. It's going to be a good one. It starts right now.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea.
Before we jump into the video, remember we're going to be giving away a huge seed haul from Survival Seeds, non-GMO heirloom seeds that you can save year over year to grow your gardens. We're going to be giving that away. It's about $100 value on Sunday, on Mother's Day. So this is your last chance to get into the actual giveaway. You have to be subscribed to the Max channel. Put in the comments that you are subscribed and you're in the giveaway. Then you've got to jump over to our new channel, The Max Life, and do the same thing. Subscribe. If you're already subscribed, just say, hey, I want to enter the giveaway. All those names from the last 2 videos will be thrown into the drawing and they will be selected on Sunday. So please subscribe to both channels. That way you can be entered in the giveaway. Now let's jump into the video. 3 things that'll cost you more. Number 1 is going to be your meat. Tyson Foods came out and said that they're actually at a loss for the year compared to what they usually are year over year. Now they're still making billions of dollars, of course, on you and you buying meat. However, they're not making as much. So they came out and said that it will actually cost you more this year in 2023 for more purchases of meat. Now, 2 things that you need to be focused on right now. If they push against meat like they're doing because they want a cleaner earth and they're pushing against animals being the cause of that, which is a complete farce. But anyways, beside the point, they're going to push against it, so therefore they're not going to incentivize you purchasing meat. Well, on top of that, with the fact of cost and all the money that is being spent based on inflation and interest and the money that you personally don't have and you're having to buy more economics, you've not been purchasing meat anyway. Well, what that does is because we're not purchasing the meat, now they're showing a little bit more loss, which therefore they will do a graduated recovery that will make them go up on the cost. So Tyson Foods and also some other meat providers said, we're actually going to go up in the cost of meat. Now remember, the Fed has been raising the interest rate to get the inflation down. Technically, that should be lowering the cost of a lot of things because it's taking the inflation rates down, which means you're not being able to spend as much, but what you are buying is giving you your dollar a better buying power. Well, that's not the case with meat. Meat is still going up. Not only do you have a piece of the populace pushing against you buying meat, which I think is, again, a farce, you secondly have the fact that they're not making as much money on your meat, so therefore they're going to charge you more. So this is where you've got to come in and say, okay, the solution is you either grow your own meat. If you can't grow your own meat, then you start buying meat in bulk. So for instance, if you're buying bacon, instead of buying bacon, I have a video on this, buy a pork belly. You can buy a whole pork belly for a whole lot cheaper than you can buy cured bacon. You learn to cure it yourself with salt and sugar, then you turn around and have a whole slab of a pork belly to smoke on your grill or on your smoker. Then you can start cutting your own bacon up. It will save you a load of money. Also, chicken. Quit buying boneless, skinless breast. Learn to buy the whole chicken, the whole rotisserie. Learn to break it down yourself. You're going to ultimately save more money by doing that. You can typically buy a whole chicken for way less per pound than you can it already cut off the bone. So learn to do that. Also with the pork loin, say, well, if you want pork chops, cut them off your loin, be able to cut them yourself. All that's good because it's building sustainability and it's allowing you to learn new things and new skills to be able to control maybe the cost of your meat. So learn to cut your meat up, buy it in bulk. If you want steaks, you buy a whole side, you learn how to cut it up. Learn to buy the whole half of a cow. You'll be surprised, it will save you money. You think, oh, well, that's a lot of money up front. It is, but ultimately it's still allowing you not to pay $15, $16, $20 a pound for a steak. You're paying $5 to $6 or less a pound per steak. So it makes you say, you know what? Let's learn some of those skills to save money, because we're seeing that people over us and people that have control don't want us eating meat because it's against the climate. or the fact of, because we're not buying meat, they're going to go up on the price to make their money they want to make. So again, a little sleight of hand on the part of the meat, but ultimately the price of meat is going up. It's going to cost you more this year. So to learn how to buy in bulk, but also learn how to process your own meat. If it be chicken, if it be pork, or if it be beef, you can do it. I've got videos on all of it. So check out those playlists, but please learn to process your own meat. It will save you a lot of money. Number 2, your energy bill will go up. We've seen this across the world where they've cut, nuclear out, they've cut coal out, and therefore they're putting more on the grid. A lot of countries across Europe and all the West, what we call the West, that is with this climate change movement, they've seen their energy bills go up by 30 and 40 and 50%. Come on, people, that's crazy. Well, America is doing the same thing. There's a study that came out on that we are doing great things by putting everything on the grid. One problem. Clean energy on the grid is making the grid struggle more because the grid cannot actually control that much power, and it's going to cause issues. So therefore they're saying we need to double the size of the grid. Yes, the grid needs to be fixed, the grid needs to be stronger and more stable. But if we're seeing states push against natural gas, we're seeing the coal and the petroleum getting pushed against, you're going to see more and more stress on the grid. Therefore, if they're going to have to put more money into the grid, do you honestly believe that the utility companies are going to take that cost? Do you believe the government is going to take all that cost? No, sir. It's your energy bills that are going to be affected. Now, personally, my bills have already went up, but they're going to go up even more. So they went up 5 or 10%. Be looking for by year end 15 to 20%, maybe even more, depending on how much they push this. Our grid is struggling. Studies show it cannot be viable if we're putting more on it. Well, the more we put on it, the more they have to add to it. Additions come, and it will cost you more. Well, the rain is here, so now we're moving under the porch. Here's the solution to this. Push against the fact of not using propane and natural gas. If you're in these states, sometimes you may have to say, it's time to move. We got to learn to get to places that support American people and not put extra burden on people. So if you can't move out of those states, then you learn to stockpile as much petroleum or natural gas as you can. If you have a fireplace, you need to learn to find wood. If there's other means and other ways to use alternative energy, this may be the time to start looking at those options. Honestly and sadly, you've got to start moving out of these states that are pushing against the use of some of this energy. California is saying they're going to put more cars on the grid basically by doing EV cars and not doing gas powered cars. That's going to cost the people of California a whole lot more. Mississippi hadn't put that in. But we are part of the United States, so therefore any grid changes or grid additions, you will feel those in adjustments. It's wrong, but it's the truth. But the best way to hedge against that is you got to get out of these states that are putting these crazy policies in effect that's going to end up costing you more on your energy bill. If they can keep you out of the middle class and charge you more for your meats, charge you more for your energy, charge you more for whatever you're needing to purchase, and put you more on the government's dole, therefore they control you more. So the more that you can't afford this and you need subsidies, the more that the grid is controlled and all of a sudden you have to do blackouts or brownouts, the more your independence is leaving you. Now, the only other option is you got to start pushing against these politicians that are starting these policies and that are pushing these agendas. Honestly, you don't have the deep pockets like some of these lobbying firms do. I don't know if that's going to help. But what we are seeing is mass amount of folks and populations move out of these liberal areas, and that will help get their attention to say, you know what? Even though your policies are getting voted in by all these lobbyists actually versus the people's dollars are speaking because they're moving out. The tax basis is leaving, the jobs are leaving. That is encouraging. We need to see more proactive moving. We need to see more proactive jobs leaving these areas, so that way it helps actually the people of America get away from these bad policies. When you start seeing money leave these cities, you're going to start seeing cities say, you know what, these agendas may not be for the best. If there's ways you can save, I did a whole video of how you can save on your energy bill per month. I'll link that below. But those are just steps. Those are temporary steps to make your prices lower. Ultimately, you've got to find a solution, and the solution is either moving or really pushing against these politicians that are starting these policies that are making these climate agendas actually hurt you as the consumer, and you as the person, and you as the middle class. Number 3. Now this one may be a doozy for you, but it's just the truth. Something that will cost you more are your dollars for 2023. Now, what do I mean by that? We see that the interest rate is being raised at a pretty astounding time frame. They just raised it again, but it's not helping inflation to a point where it needs to help inflation. So therefore, you're still not able to borrow money. You're still paying more to borrow money. Your interest rates are going up. You're not getting any extra benefit at the banks because the banks are not paying you any extra money. And then on top of that, all your goods are still costing more money, kind of like the meats, kind of like any food. There's nothing really going down. When interest rate goes up, inflation's supposed to go down, which hopefully will help you save money. Now, I made a comment about this the other day. Gas has went down a little bit, eggs have went down a little bit, but compare them to 3 years ago, they're still way up compared to what they were. So be careful of the sleight of hand. Just because we raise the price 30% and then they lower it 10%, that means you're still paying 20% more. The fact that your dollars are not buying what they needed to buy and have the buying power that they once had just a year or two ago means it will cost you more for 2023 to spend money. Your spending money will cost you more to spend money. I know that sounds funny, but think about it. If it cost you $2 for milk 2 years ago, it's costing you $3 now. So your dollars are not going as far. This is going to keep on taking place for 2023. Energy, food such as meat, but more than that, think of your cars, think of your automobiles. They've went down. Used automobiles have actually went down a little bit, but like I said with the gas, it went up like 20 or 30% for used market and new market. Well, they actually hadn't went down but like to 15 or 17%. So therefore, you're still overpaying for a lot of those things, such as your automobiles. So what do? You have to make a budget and you have to get out of debt. You have to quit being a slave to these lenders. Your credit card bills are gonna keep on going up because the interest went up. Any amount of money that you have to borrow now will cost you more. Right now, don't buy a house. It's not the time to buy a house because it will cost you a whole lot more unless all of a sudden you get an outstanding deal on it. Be wise with your money. So if your money's not going as far and you're worried about your cash, then you learn to invest in things that may hedge against inflation. I've talked about precious metals, I've talked about food, I've talked about even real estate if you can get a good deal and you can pay cash for it. It could be a smaller property. Don't go in major amounts of debt for anything right now. I actually just put a lot of money in Aiden's truck. That truck is an older truck and it's already an antique truck. So that truck holds value. It's actually insured for the value that it is, and it added value for the money we put into it. Most new vehicles, if you put money into them, they're actually gonna wear out and depreciate quicker than you can say automobile. So you have to be wise with the way you spend your money because your money is not going as far as it did. I want to read a few news articles about money and about how important money is and how it's caused so much anxiety with inflation and with the fact that your dollars are not buying as much. And then we'll end this video. Studies show that Americans are actually having more financial anxiety than they ever did in any other current time of their life. Now that's a bold statement because we've been through some pretty hard times and hard struggles in America. 52% of people that were in this study from Zero Hedge said that their personal finances are having a negative impact on their health. Well, what happens when we have a negative impact on our health? Then we start getting on medicines, we get on pharmaceuticals, we may eat when we shouldn't because it's like stress eating. No amount of stress and anxiety is good for us, so then therefore it's going to cause more issues further on down the road. So therefore now we're stressing out about our money because our money is not going far enough. Listen to this is crazy. 79% of baby boomers and 68% of Gen Xers were more likely to cite inflation as a major crisis. Now the people in Washington may not actually feel this because they're not seeing inflation like the lower and middle class are feeling. But 79% and 68% of two generations are feeling way more stressed than they should, and it's causing more anxiety, which will cause more health issues or more stress in their own bodies. The average wage for America is in the 50s to 70s, depending on what state. We've talked about this in another video. But it said the lower earning households, or the average amount of annual household incomes that are families earning $50,000, are overworking themselves, and they are going to cause themselves more sickness. Also becoming sick, they cannot miss work, so they're willing to let their health be secondary and not primary. Think about that, just what I said. The anxiety and the stress and the crisis of the financial problems and the inflation is causing so much stress and anxiety. People are getting sick, but then they can't miss work because they cannot go without that paycheck. Stan Druckenmiller, which is an economist, said a lot more hard landings are coming for banks and for the economy. Free money was handed out by the government and people did really stupid things. Now I know we've all made mistakes with money. We know that, but our government has too. What we're seeing now is we're reaping what we sowed. We are now seeing issues with our financial problems. So the meat is one thing. The energy is bad policy and bad agendas. But thirdly, when we talk about our dollars are not going as far. It's going to cost us more all throughout the year. Now we're seeing some repercussions. A lot of economists that I listen to, it's amazing. They're saying it's like we're in a baseball game and we may be in the second or third inning. We're not just starting the game. We've been through some rough times, but we still have a whole lot of the game left to play. That can be a little discouraging, a little scary, and could cause us even more anxiety than we're really looking for. Get your financial house in order. You buy precious metals, you start stockpiling things that have value like food, you start paying off your debt, live on a budget, and learn to shop with a grocery list. Don't just go in Walmart, especially when you're hungry, but go in there with the purpose of what you're buying. Meal plan. All those things will help you build a budget and start setting up a precedent of saving money. Saving money will help your dollars go further. Remember, it's not about the money you make, it's how you spend your money. So be wise with it, because guess what? Like I said, 2023, the dollars will cost you more, and that's not a good thing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about these three things and also some of the solutions that we talked about. We're gonna sit here and watch it rain. It's a beautiful afternoon. God's blessing on our earth is rain, because it allows us not to pull hoses, to water all these animals, to water all our gardens. So that is a blessing. Have a positive outlook on it. These three things are negative. If you start seeing these problems, start making solutions take place, you can change, and it will be a whole lot better as a prepper, homesteader, and someone who's trying to live sustainable and take care of their family. God bless, guys. Happy homestead, y'all.
And I wanna take you there.